Well, everyone, it's good to be back. I thought I'd do something a bit different today. I was thinking about the amount of references there are in the two Aerworld books and in Overlooking the Sea that kind of runs alongside those two books. The amount of references there are to inns and all that good stuff. And I just wanted to, I thought it might be nice to do a few little videos where I read some of what the books are saying about inns and what happens in them. For those of you that don't know, these three books that I've written are in paperback, but they're also available for free from my website, which is Overlooking the Sea. You can just go to that, click on read the books, and then you can just pick on whichever one of them you'd like to have a dip into. The whole book is there, each of the three of them, and you can just click one and then go ahead and read it right there in your browser, if that is something that you would like to do. But yeah, the plan is to make a few videos talking about pubs and inns in these stories. So the section I'm going to read is quite a way into the first book, over halfway through it, and quite a bit has already happened. If you haven't read these books, basically, there's kind of a parallel world, two parallel worlds being discussed in these books. You begin in the world that we are familiar with, in what's pretty much the modern day. You follow along with a few characters, and then there's a point at which that world crosses over into Aerworld, the ancient world, into the realm of Laroth, where there's some great troubles brewing. A great darkness is coming over the land, and you follow along with some of those characters and everything they have to get through. And two quite memorable characters from these two books that are also alluded to in the third book, Overlooking the Sea. Two quite memorable characters are Elfgar and his ferret Ottersfoot. And I had quite a lot of fun with these characters. The kind of the theme that runs through a lot of these through these three books is nature. My background is a countryside background. I grew up in a rural setting. I went to Sparshot College. I studied countryside management, and then I became an estate keeper, amongst other things. But I was an estate keeper for quite a few years. Then when I moved to the town, I gave that up and became a self-employed gardener for a bit. And even though I still live in the town, that kind of nature theme, that countryside theme runs through pretty much everything I try and do, and it's strong in these books. So these two characters in particular, Elfgar, who's kind of a ranger, he's a woodsman. He's someone that's quite at home, living for weeks on end out in nature. He's as at home doing that as he is coming back to civilization when he has to. But yeah, let's dip into it and just pick up the point at which we intersect with those characters. Miles away, a lonely inn stood on the Dell-Down road to Othsmouth. It was evening time now, and the smoke had begun to gently curl up from the chimney as the innkeeper stoked the fire. Trade had dropped off, and the once busy road between the capital and the trading port carried very few travellers these days. But the beast army had not yet reached them, and one or two hardy souls still made the journey to sell their wares or buy provisions at Othsmouth. There was a time when the merchants would stop at the inn with exotic goods from far-off lands. The innkeeper thought about those days as he stared into the crackling flames of the fire. the laughter that had filled the inn and the smell of the meat stew in the vast pot over the fire, hungry travellers tucking into a meal of bread and rabbit stew and a tankard of ale to wash it down. He chuckled to himself as he thought happily of these days. Reluctantly, he rose from the fire to see to his other chores. As he turned, still deep in thought, he let out a gasp as he caught sight of Elfgar, sat at a table near the bar watching him. Cursing, he walked over to the ranger. "Damn you and your kind, can't you knock before you come in?" The hunter laughed. "Be at peace, John. You knew I'd be around sometime soon. You may not get many customers anymore, but you still need to eat." With that, Elfgar stood up and dumped his game bag on the counter and smiled. The innkeeper opened it up and pulled out half a dozen rabbits. He grinned and looked up. "That it? Was a time when you'd have an army of these things following you through the door. What else have you got for me?" "Well, there's some deer on my horse outside. You're welcome to that too. Do you need any salves or poultices? I've mixed some up." John nodded sadly. "I reckon I will. More travellers than ever come this way with wounds and ills now. I can go a week without seeing another soul. Then the folks that do come are often starving and bedraggled lot. It's not so much an inn as a hospital here now." The innkeeper scowled as he spoke, but the ranger knew this man had a good heart. Elfgar didn't relish his trips to civilization, but he didn't mind seeing John too much. If he had to count any amongst the humans as friends, he reckoned this old innkeeper would be the closest to it. The innkeeper was a friendly sort who got on with most people, and a large, burly man who had a great heart of gold but a fist of oak that he was not afraid to use to remove troublemakers from his inn. Elfgar respected him for the fact that he didn't shout about his strength, but would quietly use it to deal with the trouble before it had a chance to come. John moved round the bar and poured the ranger an ale. He dumped a purse of coins on the counter too, and Elfgar took them both with a nod of gratitude. He took a gulp from the ale and looked down at his satchel. "Mind if I let Ottersfoot have a run about, John? He's worked hard getting these rabbits for you." The innkeeper grinned. He liked the ranger and his odd best friend. Though he didn't admit it, he looked forward to their visits, infrequent as they were these days. He nodded and put down a bowl of water on the floor. Elfgar opened up the satchel and took Ottersfoot out, holding the animal up for a moment. The ranger's features softened briefly, and his expression betrayed the love he felt for this little companion. He stroked him a couple of times and set him down on the cobbled floor of the inn. The ferret sniffed the bowl of water and lapped some up, and then scampered off, straight on the scent of a mouse, and disappeared behind the log pile over near the hearth. He reappeared a few moments later, glanced out towards the bar to check his master was still where he'd left him, and then ran off again to search for more fun. Elfgar smiled to himself and turned back to his ale. The innkeeper had taken the rabbits into the storeroom to hang, so the ranger moved over to a table close to the hearth. The ranger sat at the table and watched the flames as they jumped and played on the logs in the grate. From time to time, Ottersfoot emerged from his exploring to check on his master and was then quickly gone again. The ranger thought back to his journey into Laroth, all those years ago with his brother, Conrad. They'd left their home in Darva to head for the seaport of Othsmouth in search of adventure and a new life. It was a long and perilous journey, and the brothers were more than once called upon to defend themselves. And then it goes off introducing their relationship, those two brothers. They went in two very different directions. And the story of Conrad sort of grows, and that continues on into the second book, as does Elfgar's. But right now, Elfgar and John are about to head off on some adventures with Ottersfoot the ferret. So yeah, that's a little dip into one of the encounters at the inn. I think we'll do. There's a few more of those. So I think we'll do another one. We'll do another video on those pretty soon, I think. But if you're into this sort of thing, please do have a look at these books. You can read them for free on the website. Let's just keep these things alive, and hopefully they might even encourage you to create something of your own. Anyway, thank you for watching. I wish you the very best of days, and I'll see you in the next one.